Hey guys, Huma Corn here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing what happened to Ark Survival Evolved. As most of you know, I used to do Ark vids and I played Ark for around 3 years when I was playing it, and then I quit. Because I know the reasons why I quit and a lot of other people quit, and I know tons about Ark's history and community, I think I'm a good person to be making this video. And I just want to get this out there because I know I've ranted about Ark in the past loads. I'm not going to change the good things about Ark, all the bad things. I'm just going to give my opinion and then tell you guys what actually happened and everything else about the video. You're going to be hearing a lot of repeated words as well, so prepare yourself for that, and I hope it doesn't get too annoying. If you like gaming tips, tutorials, glitches, or gaming content in general, make sure to subscribe right down below. And yeah, let's get straight into the video. Before we talk about the rise or downfall of Ark, we need to understand what Ark actually is and the type of game it is to figure out where it stands in the gaming community. So Ark is an action adventure survival game, dinosaurs and other just abominations to say the least. Developed by Studio Wildcard and is purely a sandbox PvP based game. That's what most people are on, and there also is a PvE mode if people aren't really into the whole PvP based game idea and they just want to tame dinosaurs and just basically play the game without fighting other people. You can build bases, you can craft items, and there's a lot to do in this survival game specifically. It's a little bit like Rust. Rust did come out before Ark, so if you know Rust, you probably know Ark and everything about it. So now we know what Ark is, let's first talk about the rise of Ark to get a better understanding of the huge, massive downfall. So on the 2nd of June 2015, Ark was released on PC, and this was only early access on Steam, so it wasn't a full-on game yet. The first month was pretty silent, nothing much happening, since this was a brand new survival game, and as we all know, survival games are pretty hard to shoot up and actually make a good one. But the next month it gained a huge growth with over 40,000 players flooding in and testing the game out for themselves. Now, obviously this was a early access game like I said, so it's not going to be the perfect, probably nowhere near good, but people understood that. But if you remember the starting days of Ark, it was pretty much unplayable because of how much it crashed and lagged. It was really bad. Every 10 minutes you would at least get one crash with a ton of lagging. And you might think, why would anyone keep playing, and why was there a lot of players as well flooding in for a game that's so badly optimized to the point where you can't play? And about 10-20% of people started quitting Ark straight away because of this, but the other 80 to 90% stayed because of how independent, unique and curious the gameplay was. And the fact that people started noticing that, and it was noticeable within the first release, was pretty huge. If you think about it, no other game has been able to pull off that within the first release, and Ark hasn't even been working it for more than 3 months. So it wasn't able to build up or anything like that. And since those 80 to 90% of people noticed this, it kept them around to see what else was in store for the game. The main things that actually brought on these effects for the game was the way they brought it out. And what I mean is, when you first load into Ark, even today, there's not much the game actually tells you, leading you to actually have to figure out everything for yourself, making it very independent. And also the fact that you're stranded on an island with prehistoric animals, and then all of a sudden you see a big floating alien thing in the air, and it made it obvious that it was much more than a caveman game, and there was an actual story attached to it, leading people to be curious like I said earlier. Since the spiral of all the players that Wildcard was getting, it sparked an official community that formed that similar games can go to, like Rust, like I said, Conan Exiles, and it was brought into those kind of communities aside of it, which also boosted the game up even more. Now there was two kind of separate communities within the Ark community, and that was PvE and PvP. If you don't know what they stand for, PvE is players versus environment. Most people were about the PvP life, and some wanted to just tame dinosaurs and fight bosses without worrying about other players destroying their base. I do have to say the PvP side of things appeal to most people because that's where you'll find typically the core Ark and fun addictive gameplay, and plus lots of YouTubers play PvP, and seeing someone play something that looks so fun obviously makes you want to play it even more. And PvP in Ark is very specific because it's so complex and unique and you have to learn a lot. Like, you can't just build a base anywhere you want to or go in anywhere you want to, and it's basically one big grind that takes a lot of time out of your hands when you're bored. And it did also come out for both consoles in late 2016. I think it came out for Xbox like a year sooner, and then late 2016 it came out for PS4, so a lot more people can play as well, and you can play it anywhere. Obviously you can bring out your console, and I think quite recently, it wasn't that long ago, it came out for phone and it was free, so you can basically play it anywhere you want to. And that's pretty much for how the game started to rise. Now let's get straight into the downfall of Ark Survival Evolved and what they did massively wrong. There is so many reasons why Ark started to die, so I'm just going to start with how they structured the game. Since I said in the start there are all these bugs, glitches, hackers and meshing methods, which I'll talk about earlier, flying around, it made the foundation of the game very weak, and instead of trying to fix that and trying to like make the foundations even stronger, they just stack stuff on top. And what I mean by that is they just bring out a new map after map, new things, and not to mention how bad they are at talking to their community when stuff goes wrong, leading them to be more untrustworthy. But besides that, let's focus where Ark started properly dying, and it's kind of hard to tell where because players come and go in this game, and especially survival games. But I think it's when Wildcard got into a legal issue and it cost them around $40 million or pounds. I think it's like an American company. And basically what was happening was a co-founder of the company, Wildcard, left another game company in 2014 called Trendy Entertainment. And he signed an agreement saying he can't be involved in any other game that might compete with Trendy Entertainment until August 2015. And as we all know, Ark was released in June 2015, 2 months before the agreement ended, and this was around when the first DLC launched, which was called Scorched Earth, which meant they had to rush it out to get more money quicker and obviously pay off this £40 million or dollars they've just been sued for. And what I think actually happened was when they released the DLC, and bear in mind this was the first one, they saw how much money was coming in without the content actually being finished properly. And maybe they thought they didn't have to put as much effort into these other maps, because these weren't like the core game, these were just DLC maps that you can get, making it very unreliable when they announced a release date, because is what ended up happening. Because from then on, everything they've brought out has always been late, and the map Aberration got declined from console twice because of how glitched and bugged it was. For those who don't know, there are these things called meshing and mesh holes in every map where people can climb in like through the wall or the side of a mountain and get under other people's bases and raid them without worrying about their defenses, which made PvP pretty much pointless and horrific. And it hasn't changed till this day. It's probably got even worse since they can't even fix it for a reason no one knows. But I personally think there is actually a reason why they can't fix the lag in mesh holes. Or it's just the fact that they're lazy and just can't be bothered to sort out the game. Because of this, so many people have quit the game, including myself. This wasn't the main reason, but everyone just got sick and tired of mesh raiding and the constant lag that was pretty much unplayable on console as well. There is also one big problem the community had itself, and that was the extremely toxic environment. And don't get me wrong, there are some nice people in the community, like every community, but this community specifically is one of the most toxic gaming communities you could possibly come across. This is also one of the reasons I left it. Some of the YouTubers that still do Ark today want to get out of the Ark community, but they can't because they'll be left in the dark for a while, because Ark players only watch Ark content, making it very hard to leave the community and get in that extra support from the community you've already grown yourself without the risk of becoming dead. I'm not going to drop any names, but I know a few people that have over 100, like 300k subs, and they've told me they want to get out of the game but they can't because of the reason that I just said. And also what was happening with the game as well, which not many people talk about, and that is how forced, like it forces you to pay for DLCs, because unofficial especially, if you don't have some of these DLCs, because with the DLCs you get specific dinosaurs, creatures and items, and some of them you actually need, and you have to grind for like 8 hours on end, and if you don't have that you're pretty much screwed. You can live without it, but you'll just get crushed by other people that have DLCs. It's like, not really pay to win, but it's kind of that like forceful thing that makes you want to pay for, well, it makes you have to pay for a DLC to actually get even fun in PvP. Now I will say, during all this time, the PvE community didn't really get affected as much by this, because, you know, meshing in PvE, there's not really much point. I mean, you can get a base without like dinosaurs attacking you, but once you got stone, you're pretty much safe from it. So the PvE community stood strong in this. So with all these problems making the game terrible to be a part of, why hasn't the game fallen completely? And what could they do, what solution could they do to revive the game and its community? Now the reason Ark hasn't completely flattened is because the PvP feeling was still there throughout all these events, and still has one of the most unique combat systems. And most people who play Ark PvP will agree how fun and addictive the strategies can get. Almost like any other game, except you can play Ark for hours and hours on end and still have the same amount of things to do when you first started playing. Like, there's always something to do, there's always something you can upgrade, there's so much you have to do. I think Ark is a good game, but horrifically made. There is one thing that I've always stood by, well, not always, but something that I stand by and they could do, and that is, everyone playing Ark wants that lag. Even hackers, glitches, even the toxic people in Ark want the lag sorted properly so you can play the game how it's meant to be played. If everyone joins together, including the PvE and PvP community, they could bring something back to life that we talked about in one of my recent Ark podcasts, and that is survival of the fittest. I have to give credit to No Play Jack for noticing this. And you might think, what's so special about survival of the fittest? Well, it's a very, very different battle royale, which we all know is impossible nowadays. Like, it's always copies. There's no battle royale like Ark Survival of the Fittest, and if they saw a reason to start working on it again and bring it back to life, it could shoot up the players massively, even becoming a whole separate game that could be released on console. What I think should happen is make Survival of the Fittest free and make it obvious that Ark is the main game and Ark Survival of the Fittest is made from some of the Ark mechanics. And sadly, they will only go that route if they see a reason to, which is why everyone needs to start playing Ark Survival of the Fittest and sharing it again. I understand the PvE community might not be interested in playing that part of Ark, but at the end of the day, if this does work and they start working on it again, everyone, every part of Ark will benefit from it. Some people might be wondering, and this is specific people that have been watching me for a while, wonder if I'm going to start playing Ark again, if it gets fixed and stuff, and it's always going to be a no unless they change a lot of the core game. It will basically be a whole different game if they fix it and stuff, but it will always be a no unless they sort out everything. As of Survival of the Fittest, if they do start working on it again, I'll definitely hop back on that game. But like I said in the beginning of the video, this video isn't meant to be a rant. This is just the story of Ark, how it rose, how it went on a downfall, and what they can do to sort it out. Let me know your opinion on this video down below. Let me know if you think I've got anything wrong, if you think I missed out something. And this is to the Ark people. Obviously, there's going to be tons of people hating on this video, saying, you know, oh, Ark died for a different reason. There are so many reasons, there are thousands of reasons, and that's a reason itself it died as well, because there's so many reasons. But I think, you know, everyone could agree that the lag glitches and hackers and them not sorting it out or talking to us about it is what mainly made the game horrible. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, share, subscribe. See you in the next one, and peace.
I kill him, I'm a vampire. I kill him, 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 I'm a vampire. I kill him, 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 I'm a vampire.